Hello, Blazer fans, Blazers Edge readers. Welcome to another edition of the Blazers Edge Videocast. I am Sam Tung, along with editor Dave Deckard. Have an email question for you regarding Thomas Robinson today, and if you'd like to send in an email of your own, please do so. blazersub@gmail.com is the place that you can send those emails for both these videocasts as well as Dave's weekly mailbag segments. And today's email comes from who else but yet another Mike, Dave. I think that this is kind of a tradition here on Blazers Edge. And his question, Mike's question today is, with LaMarcus, Myers, and Joel going down, there's little doubt that there will be more time for our good friend T-Rob to get increased run for at least the next week. Looking back at his time at Kansas, he seemed to have so much more potential, and perhaps he still does, than he showed so far. So, what specifically does Robinson lack that is keeping him from becoming a solid or better NBA player? Again, that email from Mike. Send those in, blazersub@gmail.com. And Dave, your thoughts on Thomas Robinson and why he might not be getting a little more run?
Well, he will be getting a little more run if he keeps playing like he did against Minnesota, but that game was really indicative of some of the things that he does well, which you can then contrast with why that doesn't happen all the time. Basically, Robinson looks an awful lot like a guy who traded on his physicality in college. That often happens to scorers and to centers, but he's a power forward for whom that happened. And you can really tell it when he's on the court, and where you can see it is the defensive end. Everybody wants to make hay out of his spin moves and his jump shots and stuff like that. I don't think those bother the coaches much, to tell you the truth. They happen infrequently. You kind of live with that. It's a young guy finding his way. But defensively, he tends to line up in incorrect places. He doesn't stop the right angles. He's a foot or two off where he needs to be when he sets up for defense. If he gets taken down low, or if the opponent makes body contact against him, he doesn't really know how to use leverage, and he just gets moved around. That's all on-ball defense. Let's not even talk about his off-ball defense. If he needs to rotate or what have you, that's really an issue because he misses a lot of those help situations. There have even been an instance or two where the cameras have caught, for instance, Coach Stotts in a timeout huddle explaining to the team exactly what's going to happen. He's like, X is going to happen out there. When X happens, you guys need to do Y. And he's looking like right at Robinson. And then the very next play, they'll go out there and X happens and Robinson doesn't do it. And you can see the coach's hair turning gray right there on camera. And that's why he's really not getting more time up to this point. It's not that he doesn't have the physical ability, he sure does. He just hasn't learned how to use it effectively. In college, he could get away with being a foot or two off. In the NBA, a foot or two off equals a score for the other team.
And to look at the offensive side of the ball here real quickly, Dave, you know, that's obviously a huge piece of it is the defensive end, and you know, as you mentioned, probably the majority of it is on the defensive end. But you still have to think on the offensive side of the ball, if he gets the ball anywhere outside the painted area, and really any time that it isn't a second chance opportunity, we've seen throughout the season that he can be quite a liability in those situations. And you also have to think every time he touches the ball, you just never know what's going to happen. And I think if you're, you know, a head coach of a team that's 20 games over 500 and a team that's trying to vie for a playoff spot, I think that there has to be, you know, you have to be able to anticipate what the guy's going to do when he has the ball in his hands. And I have to think that, you know, with how unpredictable Robinson can be, that certainly is weighing on Terry Stotts' mind every time they get the ball.
Well, he's gotten a little better at that. He has a jump shot that's fairly semi-reliable when he's open, and he's learned to take it. His spin move we see a little bit less of. But, you know, like you say, you're right, he is kind of unpredictable. The solution to that is just not throw him the ball. But what you're really seeing is basically rookie panic. Okay, that happens to a lot of players. Just like I've got the ball, everything's moving so quick. What do I do? And they default to score mode. I got to score this somehow. And for Robinson, when he's not open for the jumper, that means a ton of dribbling, the spinning, the whatever. And the problem isn't necessarily his spin. The problem is he can't finish off of it. So yeah, you see a fair amount of that. But again, that's getting better, and I don't think that's probably weighing on the coaching staff nearly so much as the defensive end. Now, we shouldn't shortchange Robinson. There are things he does well. You really saw it against Kevin Love. He was able to trade on his strong points. And Love was stupid, frankly, in what he did. I think Kevin saw a matchup that he had a clear advantage in, and he just thought, anyway, I want to score on this guy, I can, so I'm going to take the lazy way out. And basically, he faced up, he put the ball out in front of himself, in between him and Robinson, and he took a lot of jump shots without really moving. He didn't take him down into the post where he could use leverage or spin moves or fakes. The fakes he did use were pretty weak, and so all Robinson had to have was a little bit of athleticism and a good reaction time. And he's got both of those. And you really saw him be able to frustrate Love. And I think he can do that if he's facing a face-up shooter who doesn't have a lot of moves or the savvy to take him into the wheelhouse and confuse him. But, of course, that's not going to happen every night. But still, we shouldn't shortchange Thomas in what he does well.
And I think additionally, in not shortchanging him, Dave, is the fact that Portland is his third NBA team that he's been on. It's a situation where now I think that, and even this is his most stable situation in his entire career, and I still don't know if he entirely feels comfortable with what his role is on this team because of these inconsistencies. So, being a guy that's in your second year in the NBA, a guy that has never really had a spot where he knew what he was supposed to do and he knew exactly what his role is. I think that as we progress throughout the season, that's becoming more and more clear, not only to us as fans, but more importantly to Thomas, what his role on the team is, which is kind of this energy guy, off the bench, rebound, try to harass guys on defense and do the best you can. I think that understanding his role, you have to think that that's going to be huge for his opportunity to add to his consistency.
Well, absolutely. I mean, teams, when they change head coaches every year, tend to not do well, right? Because you're bringing in a new system every single year, and nobody gets it and nobody gels. Well, that's happened kind of an inversion for Robinson. This is his third head coach in basically a year and a month. So what is he going to do? He has to learn how to play in Stotts' system, and hopefully it'll be around long enough for him to get acclimated. And as we said in a written blog post a few days ago, the key for Thomas Robinson will be accepting the smaller chunks that Stotts and the system are able to give him and doing those well. And if he does those well consistently, then he can build on those into a greater role. But that greater role will never come if he's not able to play 5 minutes well and be the energy guy well. You cannot put him on the floor for 25 minutes if he can't handle 5.
Want to thank Mike for his email again today. The email address, blazersub@gmail.com, the place where you can continue to send those emails for both the videocasts and for Dave's mailbag segments that he does weekly. The question today about Thomas Robinson. And that's going to do it here for us on the Blazers Edge videocast. Again, blazersub@gmail.com, the place to send those emails. For Dave Deckard, I am Sam Tung. We will see you all in a couple of days. Keep it here on blazersedge.com for continuing coverage as we move past the All-Star break.